session of the day, and this session is focusing on e-governance in India, and there'll be exchange of best practices and next practices going on in the country. And for this session we have a great panel of eminent speakers, along with session chair, who is, it will not be an exaggeration if I call him father of e-governance in India, as a Secretary IT Government of India, as a Secretary of Telecom Ministry in Government of India. He has taken a lot of initiatives which has, that initiative have led e-governance growing rapidly in India, and he's a visionary. So for that, I invite our Honorable Session Chair, Shri R. Chandrasekhar, President, NASSCOM, to please join us on the stage. And again, a round of applause for our eminent Honorable Session Chair. And then I invite Mr. Ashok Dalwai, Deputy Director General, UIDI, to please join us on stage. Under his leadership today, UIDI has developed capacity of producing 1.5 million eKYCs, million Aadhaar cards in one day, and to deliver 10 million eKYCs in one day, and developing authentication requesting 100 million per day. So it's a great achievement, and a round of applause for Mr. Dalwai for this. And then I invite our next speaker for this session, Mr. R.O. Sunil Babu, Regional Passport Officer, Cochin. As we all know, the passport services by the Ministry of External Affairs, and need not to tell much about such a great use of technology for generating passports for citizens. We welcome sir on stage, and we have very important speaker from Bihar, Mr. Tripurari Sharan, Principal Secretary, IT, Government of Bihar. And sir, please share your experiences and your vision in terms of developing IT in Bihar. And in the next speaker, we have eminent people from industry. We have Mr. Manish Kumar, Head Central Government, Wipro Infotech, to join us on stage. With a round of applause, I invite Mr. Manish Kumar, who heads the Central Government and Defense business in Wipro. And Wipro, as we all know, is a front runner in terms of providing e-governance services in India and around the world, I would say. And also, I will invite now Mr. Vivekanand Venugopal, Vice President and General Manager, Hitachi Data Systems, India. So, I request my team to please bring services and solutions provided to world's leading enterprises, including more than 70% of the Fortune 100 and more than 80% of the Fortune Global 100 companies. A round of applause for this achievement of Hitachi. So now, after this introduction of our key panelists, I hand over the session to Honorable Session Chair, Mr. R. Chandrasekhar, please.
Sessions, and I'm going to be speaking later in the evening on eINDIA in general. So what I would like to do in this panel is just to set out a couple of initial thoughts and then invite the panelists to make their presentation. All of us have seen the journey of e-governance in India from various different angles, different snapshots from different perspectives, be it from the perspective of a particular state or a particular ministry or a particular slice of time when we happen to have been associated with this. And I think in all these perspectives, it's quite clear that we have made significant progress in e-governance, but certainly not enough. Nowhere near enough in terms of what is needed, what people want, or for that matter, even what the government has been aspiring for. So while drawing comfort or drawing satisfaction from some of the successes, what's equally important is to pick up what can be learned from these examples, both the successes and the failures, to see not only how we can do better, but how we can do it faster and how we can do it on a much wider canvas. So the scale and the speed, which the Prime Minister often mentions, is really the next big challenge in e-governance. We know that many things are possible. We've seen some wonderful examples in the earlier sessions. We'll hear about some of them in these sessions. But I would venture to say that we need to look at not just the technologies and the solutions, but also how these were done. What were the processes followed for the deployment of these solutions? And is there a way that we can think of to really accelerate these processes within the framework of government systems of accountability and transparency? And how do we take advantage of some of the new technologies which have opened up new possibilities? I'm referring to, for example, the cloud, the mobile, and so on. Is there a way that these advances can be used to simplify and accelerate the whole procurement process, to accelerate the process of horizontal spread of the success stories from state to state without the need for a very convoluted process independently by each state relearning the entire, learning the entire wheel? These are, I think, some of the critical questions which need to be thought through. And I would urge the panelists as they speak to also share some of their perspectives in these areas. So let me move on to the speakers in this session. We'll start with Mr. Sunil Babu, who is the Regional Passport Officer at Kochi, and he will share with us their experiences in the implementation in the passports offices. Thank you.
Good morning. Before I start the presentation, I would like to say something. I'm filling in big shoes because I'm here in place of my Chief Passport Officer, who had taken this project at somewhere at the inception and has continued to run it as this is a project that's still ongoing. And he is not here today because yesterday we inaugurated a Passport Seva Kendra in Shillong. So he couldn't make it for that. So like I said, it's a big shoe to fill. We are humans, we are migrants. We have been all the time. So over a period of time, borders have come. So passports or some sort of document was required to permit people to move from one country to another. The Passport Seva project was initiated with the idea that the citizen should get a seva with a smile, and as far as possible, the seva should be at his doorstep. That was the idea behind this whole concept. It's a public-private partnership with Tata Consultancy Services, and the main thing is, I think many of you would have, at some stage in your life, gone to take a passport prior to 2010, and those of you who have done so and who have taken a passport after that, after 2010, would have found the difference. From a slow and cumbersome process, we have moved to something that's swift, easy, and efficient. Time is precious for all of us, and I'll keep my presentation short. So, Previously, if you needed a passport, you probably had to spend an entire day in the passport office. Today, the average time that you would need to spend in a passport office, including the 15-minute prior time that you're supposed to report, works out to something like 65 to 70 minutes. It's a little more than an hour. For a passport that will carry you through 10 years, I think that's a big improvement. Now, there are some statistics. I'm not going to go into that owing to paucity of time. We've already overrun this, so I'll go into the presentation straight away. So like it said, it's a transforming the delivery of the passport services in India. It's a private-public partnership in consultancy services. We started in 1954 with 5 passport offices. Until 2010, that number had grown to only 37. And now, the Passport Seva Kendras, 77 Passport Seva Kendras and, 77 Passport Seva Kendras and 18 Lagu Kendras, they serve as the extended arm of the passport offices, which benefits citizens. People do not have to travel very long. In addition to that, the Ministry of External Affairs also has initiated passport melas or passport camps. In fact, I've just come back from a passport camp in Lakshadweep, where the response was much beyond what we expected. They want us back every month. So when we bring things to their doorstep, the citizens are happy. We are also happy that we are able to bring a smile to their faces. This, as you can see in the slide, the amenities are first class. It's fully automated, and by the time you leave the Passport Seva Kendra, you know the fate of your application. If there is a problem, it is sorted out immediately. Otherwise, you will know when you will get the passport and in how many days you will get it. I'm not sure how many of you have applied under the new scheme and found the difference. So there is one more. A passport is a security document. It's not something that you can go just pay money and collect it. There are a lot of checks and balances on it. It's an identity of a person. It's also an identity. It is a document that proves your citizenship. So we have to be careful when you issue it. So there is a police verification carried out. The new system integrates the police, the press, the India Security Press that issues the passport, as well as the postal authorities, which serves as the one leg of verification, because the envelope that carries the passport has 2 instructions on it. The postman is not supposed to deliver it to another person other than the addressee. And second, it is to be delivered only in the address indicated on it. Otherwise, it's to be returned to the passport office. And we are moving on to better passport services. From November 2015, handwritten passports will no longer be valid in any international airport in the world. There are many countries we are still struggling to do so. We started this almost 10 years ago. No, 8 years ago, I'm sorry. So by the time the ICA regulations come into place, I'm sure that India as a country would have fully complied with those regulations. Now, this slide is very important because it shows the difference between the 2 systems, the old system as well as the new system. Like I said, in the old system, we had 37 passport offices. The citizen had to travel some distance to reach a passport office. Now with this Passport Seva Kendras and the camps and the melas that we are holding, we are going to the citizens. There has been a lot of complaints over the various practices followed in different passport offices. In the present system, the practice is standard. It's a uniform procedure in all the Passport Seva Kendras and the Passport Lagu Seva Kendras that have been put into place. Again, as far as transparency is concerned, that is the new buzzword here in India. Like I said, when you go for a when you go in with a passport application, before you leave the Passport Seva Kendra, you know the fate of your application. If there is a problem, it has to be sorted out there. Otherwise, you go out with a slip that says that your passport has been granted. I don't think we can have a better proof of transparency than that, because after that, you don't have to visit the passport office to ask why or provide additional documents. Again, the other aspect, uncertainty. There are cases where passports have been delayed by 6 months and more. Many cases. In the present system, it is fully automated. The system is so well integrated in place that the moment a police report is received as clear, your application automatically moves into the printing queue. And depending on how far it takes, within 2 or 3 days, your passport is printed. In another couple of days, it's dispatched. So once the police report is received clear, in a maximum of 5 days or 6 days, your passport reaches your home. This is quite a difference from the previous system. And because we are relying increasingly on computerization and automation, the human error element is eliminated in this. This is again, it shows various aspects of the new system. Applicant enters through one portion of the Passport Seva Kendra. He moves through 4 counters and exits through the separate exit. And by the time he finishes this, like I said, he knows the fate of his application. There is speed. As I said, the all India average is 55 minutes. It used to be a whole day previously. There is transparency. You are in an open space. Your application is scrutinized. If there is a lacuna, it is immediately pointed out to you for rectification. Otherwise, your passport is granted. And we have, under the new system, made provisions for senior citizens, minors, and ladies. Apart from that, otherwise, it is a first in, first out principle. There is no human interference there. The token system is fully automated so that you get in, you take a token, and apart from the token, you take an appointment. That's the most important thing. So you need to be present in the Passport Seva Kendra just 10 or 15 minutes before the time given to you. You don't have to come early in the morning and stand in the queue. Biometrics are captured, your photograph is taken. This, like I said, we are moving into a more secure passport system, which is, at present, it's very tamper-proof, but as we go on, we are making it more and more secure. There is no, the chances of photo substitution or removing pages, such practices that were being carried out in the past, which many law enforcement agencies have caught on, that will no longer take place. And like I said, you have to make a payment online. You have 3 modes of payment. You can pay through credit card, debit card, or challan payment, and take an appointment and be there just a few 10 minutes before your scheduled time. And the days of multiple passports by one person is over. I myself have come across so many cases where people have taken passports from other passport offices, but under the new system, the moment you submit your application, the flag goes up. If you've taken 2 or if you've taken more, they all come up. And of course, we penalize them and then regularize the whole thing, unless there is some serious national security involved. This is a chart starting from June 2012. It shows the trend of applications. As you can see, there has been a small dip in the period June 2013 to August 2013. But apart from that, the graph has been growing, has been moving steadily up. Our target, the ministry's target this year, is 1 crore passports. We are not talking about just 37 passport offices and 77 passport seva kendras and the Lego kendras. We are also talking about 180 Indian embassies, high commissions, and the consulates. Altogether, we are targeting to issue 1 crore passports. We hope to achieve it by 31st of December. As of the figures as of October is 70 lakhs. So we got 3 months, 2 months to make up for those 30 lakhs of passports. Like I said, Lagu Kendras, where it's not possible to set up a full-fledged Kendras. We start small operations with 2 or 3 people, so people can go there and submit their passports. The one in Shillong that has been inaugurated is more like a Lagu Kendra, which will work under the passport office in Guwahati. And again, like I said, we've been holding melas and camps all over, and this also makes, there are places where in a graph that will come up later, you will see Kerala has 13 passport seva kendras. We have taken up almost 20% of the total PSKs that are there. But there are states in the country which are large states, they don't have enough passport seva kendras. So the idea is that we hold camps in cities and towns where there are no kendras. The citizens can come. The procedure is the same. You make your payment online, book an appointment, come, submit your application, and within 2 months, within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you get your passport. And I don't know how many of you have noticed this, for the last 3 months, passports issued from the passport office in India, passports issued by the passport office in India no longer carry ink signatures. They are all stamp signatures. These are a few of the comments that we have received appreciating the services that we have rendered from various passport seva kendras in the country. Like I said, paucity of time is, we are already running short of time. So again, few of the VIPs who have come and visited, you can see Mr. Raghuram Rajan, the Sri Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. This is the map I was talking to you about. This shows the spread of the passport offices, the passport seva kendras, and the Lagu seva kendras spread across the country. Now, the future roadmap. Right now, the passport seva project is limited to the passport offices in India. But we have over 180 missions and posts abroad. So we have to integrate them into one whole system to make this more effective and more efficient. So that's the next step that we plan to do. E-passport is the next step. The chip will be embedded in the passport, which will carry your biometrics and your basic data. So that, like I said before, it will become more tamper-proof. High-speed printing, that will increase our efficiency. We'll be able to print more passports. Police, I think many of the apps are already in use. The moment your police report is submitted, you get a message on your mobile saying that your report has been submitted, and if it is adverse, even that is indicated. We are planning to integrate this with the NCRB, and Aadhaar is going to be made compulsory soon for a passport application. And finally, we'll be aiming to get a better ISO certification. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A very interesting one, and one which holds many examples, which holds an example for others in terms of how governance services can be transformed through a suitably structured public-private partnership. While a lot of things have gone well, there may still be some areas even there where perhaps improvement is possible. Mention was made about some of the improvements and extensions which need to be made. And we need to figure out how within the framework of a public-private partnership, there can be room for such enhancements and additions during the lifetime of the project itself. Sometimes these become issues. Let's move on now to the next speaker, who has a very interesting title, Mr. Manish Kumar from Wipro. His title is Head of Central Government, or Head Central Government. I don't know where that places him, but as far as I know, there's only one person in the country who can claim that title. But here's the second, Mr. Manish Kumar. In the interests of time management, Manish, can I request you to keep your presentation to about 8 to 10 minutes? So
Sure,
that,
sir.
there's enough time. You're already...
Distinguished eminent panels members, Mr. Chandrasekhar, dear audience, and my friends from God's of own country. So, I am definitely going to take the feedback from Mr. Chandrasekhar on my designation part of it, but it has been quite interesting to be part of this specific event, wherein two of the very eminent people who are involved in one of the very effective transformational projects are sitting in the panel itself. I would definitely like to point out, as Mr. Chandrasekhar has already pointed out, in terms of Passport Seva project, and definitely the eINDIA part, Mr. Dalwai is there. So, whenever we are interacting with any of the clients across the world, normally the question comes to me, or us, many of us, that you have been doing large system integration projects, large transformational projects in your country, and what's your learning? Is there any best practices you have found out, or best practices you have deployed, or best practices you have conceived which can be deployed over here and we can take the benefits of this? Believe me, friends, we have got an immense learning in implementation of the projects of this nature in this huge country with huge diversity and own sets of problems. At the end of the day, it's very heartening to see that with all the sets of problems, all the sets of challenges, all the sets of criticism, the project like Passport Seva has seen the light of the day. And it's definitely a huge learning for us. From this forum, I would request Mr. Chandrasekhar, who is from NASSCOM, that at least for private industries, we should have a repository of the best practices which we have evolved or which we have conceived in implementing these e-governance projects. So with this, I am opening my presentation. The best practice of the presentation is that you need to keep your slide limited to 3 only. So I have got 3 slides presentation with me. So maybe I will finish up before 8 minutes. All said and done, it's a best practice with Japanese deployed. Sometimes even I have given a presentation to my Japanese clients, and their point is that, if you are unable to make your point within 3 slides, either you don't have any or you miss it. Even the attention span of the people is also very limited. So that's why I've limited my presentation to the 3 slides. But I have tried to concise my experience, concise my company's experience, and try to share this experience with you. So definitely it's a best practice. My agenda is just slide number 1, slide number 2, and slide number 3. The title is The Menace of Delhi. I belong to Delhi. And sometimes I found it quite amazing that city like Delhi has got its own set of problems. In the last presentation, we learned about the traffic congestion. It is one of the menace of the Delhi. But let me bring out a very, very unique menace of Delhi, which is this gentleman. While I go to North Block, South Block, that Raisina Hills area, the power center of India, I found a lot of these people roaming around there. And even some of them have got guts to peep inside the parliament also. One of the strongest armies headquarters, which is situated over there, they are unable to take care of this menace. In fact, there was a parliament question in Rajya Sabha about this menace. So I've tried to highlight it. But objective of this particular slide is that what is the best practice which was deployed over there to take care of this menace? And of course, this is the traditional best practice. Of course, there is a next practice also over here. There are certain supersonic sounds which needs to be created which can take care of this, this menace. But next practice need not be the best practice. Because next practice will have certainly its limitations. Unless it's a proven. We normally say that there are two types of technologies available. One is the state of art and other one is the proven one. So this is the proven one. Of course, we are trying to find out the state of art. The point which I'm trying to make, that the best practice of the century is, which is an unwritten practice, it's not necessary that it's always documented or stamped by certain organization. It is available among us. And what we have seen over the presentation in last 2 days, a presentation from Kerala, a very impressive presentation. In fact, Kerala has got a distinguished, Kerala is pioneer in many of the firsts. And I could see a good amount of e-governance project implemented, whether it is in education area or whether it is in transport area or whether it is in citizen service area. So definitely the solution has come out with us. Yesterday, Madam Praveen was there. She was talking about a typical problem in Jammu and Kashmir about the Service Selection Board and how uniquely it was handled. It was just handled by common sense, a sense of ownership, and a little intervention of the technology. So it's always a myth that the best practice is always documented, stamped, and approved. It need not be. So we should not shy away from applying this best practices in our daily implementation schedule, and which we have been doing that. And the fact is that the next practice need not be the best practice. So these are the people. People will remain always in the core of the best practice, what we practice, especially in our organization, and what we see in e-governance projects. The success factors is highly dependent upon the leaders and the people who are driving the projects. It's very important to identify the people on both the sides, on implementation side and in the government side, and make them responsible and make them feel responsible about the project. There are many best practices which is surrounding this people, technology, and the process area, and many of them has been converted into standards also. We have seen many standards. We have deployed these standards in many of the e-governance projects also. But point is that after deployment, the sustenance becomes a challenge because the skill sets which is required to sustain these kind of standards, or which is required to further dwell upon these kinds of standards, are still missing. So these are the standards which started as the best practice in topmost companies, and they gave us a superior result. Once they gave us a superior result, it changed. These practices changed into the standards, and people started following it up. India as a country has close to somewhere around 40,000 ISO certification. The industry has got close to 40,000 ISO certification, and we are still 8th in world. So I would like to highlight the practices in e-governance, the best practice which normally government deploys, or normally the implementation, or the RFP says that we should deploy these best practices. And even if the RFP doesn't say that, many of the private system integrators deploy these practices. So use of social media, I think it's a very, very powerful tool. I'm not going to dwell much upon this because we have already talked about this. But somehow this will remain a very, very effective tool for governance in times to come. If we make it more interactive, if we make this thing more accountable, I think it can be a very, very strong tool to do the governance. Good governance, social media and mobile. But at the same time, we should take a little care in this, because social media is always a double-edged sword. It has got its pluses and it has got its minuses also. So one of the very interesting analysis which we are doing, that how social media was used in creating a rumor in Bangalore. We did it with the police, Bangalore police, this analysis, and some of the very, very interesting facts came out of this. So we should be very, very cautious in using this media, in connecting with citizens, in connecting with other stakeholders. The practice of using citizen call center, I have yet to see. We still yet to see a lot of call centers over there. But I think once citizens say that it's my one-stop shop for all the problems, if that feeling comes, I think we are near to the good governance. Of course, it has got other aspects also, that how do we sort the problems out in the back end. But a first point of contact, somebody talking to them, somebody responding to the citizen within a time frame, somebody assuring them that yes, your work will be done, somebody saying them that it will take so much time to do this work or to handle this complaint, I think half the battle is being won. Of course, we talked about the maximizing the use of technology, the analytical tool, social media we talked about, mobile, cloud, and of course, internet, the crowdsourcing part of it, which is going to come as the next practice. One of the things which I personally feel while executing this project is a requirement from the government side to have the quality assurance and the audit practice during implementation and sustenance phase. I see a whole lot of skill sets which is being demanded by the government, but somewhere I feel that quality part is missing. And that is where we will be able to create the best practices, and that is where we will be able to nail the projects wherever at the point where we are failing. It's a very, very important aspect. Governance through portal, we have very good examples. We talk about SSDG, we talk about national NSDG, but there is something known as the city portal also. In Brazil, in Latvia, and in many other countries, in Singapore also, the city portal is taking care of a lot of services which needs to be given to the citizens. And I think in this country, if we have got 500 plus odd cities, at least each city deserves one portal. Of course, we can give that ownership to the municipalities or any urban local bodies, that's a different matter over there. But each cities require a one portal. That is what we feel as a citizen over here. And of course, the public-private partnership is one of the best practices government is deploying. And the documentation part, culturally, this part is very, very weak as far as Indians are concerned, because culturally we don't believe in documenting many things. And that is where government is missing on the property right also. The source code has been given to the government, but due to the improper documentation, government is not able to use that source code. What is the use of source code? I inherit a source code developed by somebody else without the proper document. I can't do it. I have to throw it in the dustbin and start my development again. So this is the practice which needs an improvement. Now coming to the next practice, of course, one of the very important aspects is the sustainability, which includes environment, which includes inclusivity, and probably I have missed the corporate social responsibility part also over here. System and the best practices of values and ethics. I think we need to create this kind of awareness. Crowdsourcing, again, it's a very important or very prominent or widely accepted practice which is being deployed by many of the government, including the Singapore government, to develop some of the very innovative solutions. Risk management is again an area where I think a lot needs to be done. Good amount of practice can be developed over here. But we say that government is averse of risks, so that's why it's not being taken care in a holistic manner or in a holistic fashion. Security and safety, we have already decided a lot of security standards, best practice standards, even the safety standards related to data, related to your asset, related to intellectual property rights. This needs to be strengthened further. And what I feel, last but not least, the G2G integration, the government-to-government integration. In order to provide a very an effective G2C, government-to-citizen services, a very strong back-end integration of G2G is definitely required. If we see the life cycle development, I'm not comparing it. It's not fair to compare this large and diverse democracy with any of the countries in the world. But if we see the US part of it, the first level of IT automation came at G2G level. And there's a very strong level of integration at G2G. Maybe there might be the different reasons to it, maybe because of their social security numbers or XYZ reasons. But that is where they are able to provide an effective services to the citizens.
Mr. Manish Kumar, can I request you to just
Thank you. So this is my last slide, sir. Thank you very much for this. I will just conclude that best practices needs to be imbibed as a culture and needs a very high initial investment. We need to make note of this fact. So the world is looking towards the best practice of the governance from the most diverse and largest democracy. This is the statement which was issued to me by one of the international clients. With this, I close my presentation, and thank you very much, sir, for giving us the time.
Thank you, Mr. Manish Kumar. I'm told that presentations to the Prime Minister have a 7x7x7 rule. 7 slides, interesting thoughts. The next speaker is Mr. Vivekanand Venugopal. He's the Managing Director of Hitachi Data Systems. I'd invite him to share his thoughts. And this time, 8 minutes, please, not more than that.
Distinguished Chairperson, co-panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. So, given the paucity of time, in the next 8 minutes, you'll walk away with 3 ideas. a very good idea in terms of what Hitachi as a company does and what Hitachi Data Systems can establish and collaborate for you. Number two, a simple framework that will help you deliver better e-governance in terms of how you manage your data and information that's being generated today. And a radical framework in terms of how you can better deliver services given the new data types and new information types that's going to come our way in the next 3 to 5 years. You know, listening to conversations yesterday and in this morning session, we are very excited about the possibilities of our collaboration together. Because if you look at Hitachi, a $100 billion enterprise, which has been in the business for more than 104 years, what you all are trying to accomplish is very clearly aligned to what Hitachi as a company wants to deliver. And that theme is called social innovation. And the purpose of that theme is focused on social and economic transformation. And that's what each one of you around your e-governance projects are going to deliver. So at one end of the spectrum, you know, we provide integrated transportation systems, integrated power systems, not just generate the power, but help you transmit the power, distribute that power, help you build smart grids. We not just provide and build health equipments, but we also provide integrated healthcare solutions so that you can deliver better healthcare and efficient healthcare services back to the society. Not just build water treatments, but also help you build smart cities. And we've been doing this for many, many years. If you look at it in terms of e-governance platform today and how data and information needs to be leveraged to deliver very efficient and effective e-governance services, you need to look at 3 key tenets. The first one is, how do you have seamless access to your data, independent of the application, the infrastructure, the media, and the location where this data is? The second thing is, how do you eliminate or stop the proliferation of silos? And the third tenet is, how do you leverage whatever investments that you have made? Yes, the government does have money, but doesn't have unlimited money. So how do you leverage existing investments that have already been done? And how can you leverage that to provide better e-governance services in terms of data that's already out there or information that's already out there? Following these 3 tenets, we've seen customers across the globe really implement very effective and efficient data management and information management solutions. In the last 12 months, using this very simple framework, we've helped a lot of establishments, both at the center as well as the states, to deliver very effective e-governance programs leveraging our enterprise virtualized storage platform, and also build a lot of efficient business continuity solutions, leveraging whatever investments that they've already done in their data centers. You can see a couple of those projects, both at the state and the center, being delivered out there. And these customers have leveraged the rate contract that's currently established with DIT to go ahead and implement these platforms and solutions. Now, if you look at the new data types that's going to hit us today, ask yourself a simple question. You need to apply different disciplines to different types of data. Statement of records, yes, a simple process of storing and protecting would work. But the content that you generate, for example, of biometric data, your fingerprint, your photograph, your certificate, your land record, this is data at rest. This content will outlive the application that created it, the infrastructure that was used to create it. And you need to have access to this for hundreds of years. How do you now go ahead and access this content when you sunset that application? How do you go and access this when you sunset that infrastructure? When technology becomes obsolete, how do you go and manage this content? And that's where you need to move away from just storing and protecting to preservation and governance and the ability for you to analyze this content and search this content at scale. You should be in a position to go ahead and ingest any type of content independent of the application at scale. Have a mechanism to archive it, have a mechanism to protect it, have a mechanism to go ahead and have that data available independent of a location or independent of the provider or independent of the device, and have a mechanism to search that content intuitively. And then, because you've ingested this data, you should be in a position to search this and analyze this data and create new ripples of information that can help you drive better information management or deliver better information services. Here's a classic example of a project that we've executed. This is the project at the National Archives and Records Bureau for the United States. So the entire presidential records of the last 5 presidents today are leveraging the content platform strategy from Hitachi Data Systems. In addition to that, this particular platform today can acquire and ingest any type of content. And once that is ingested, it can be searched by the public, it can be searched by various agencies, it can be reused, it can be processed, it can be self-serviced and delivered. And now this particular project is gone to billions of objects within that content platform. And today it's now going to be leveraged by the US Patent and Trademark Offices. It's going to be leveraged by the National Nuclear Security and the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So that's the kind of scale that we can help you build in India today to deliver very effective and efficient e-governance services. If you look at what's really going to hit us in the years to come, there's a proliferation of devices. So currently we have around about 50 billion devices that are out there proliferating data and different types of content. Statement of records is only growing at around about 1x. But if you look at human-generated data and machine-generated data, for example, that's being delivered by satellite images, geospatial applications, by devices, by sensors, by videos, by photographs, that's growing at more than 100 times. And you need a different mechanism to manage this data and information. What you really need is a very radical platform leveraging windowing concepts and decision-making concepts at the source. If you really look at what's happening in the industry, computer systems, storage systems are growing in gigabytes per second. The networks are growing in gigabits per second. With that sort of limitations, it's really not possible to process this sort of information that's being generated. You need a very radical, intelligent platform that will help you reduce the data scale, which is growing in exabytes, and move the intelligence, the logic, the query, and the processing at source, and then move that into a central facility for preservation and reprocessing and analysis to generate new forms of information. This is going to be a far better efficient way in terms of how you go ahead and store and preserve and govern and analyze your information. What's happening in the industry is, for the first time, I think Moore's law in storage has been broken. Hard disk drives are reaching end of life. We may not have enough power and cooling to store all our data in the next 5 to 6 years. Hitachi is developing a lot of very unique technologies. For example, we have quartz crystals today that can store exabytes of information in 1 square inch, but not commercially viable. We've used nanotechnology to polarize an atom to store your data. We have those technologies available, but still not commercially available. Till such time, we'll have to think of a radical, intelligent platform like what I've described today to go ahead and help and manage your content and information. So the architecture that you could potentially look at is primarily to have, a mechanism where you can process information at source. You could have information processed at your district data centers. You could have information processed by mobile users on any devices. You could have a mechanism where you could have information processed at your state data centers, all around cloud, so independent of application, independent of protocol. You could process it and have free information exchange and preserved and governed at a central facility. This gives you a mechanism to go ahead and adopt new technologies that will come our way, especially Web 2.0 and Web 3.0 applications. You will also be in a position to go ahead and leverage new cloud applications that are evolving in the marketplace today, but still don't have to change the way you write your application. And even if you sunset your application, you will have seamless access to your data and information. And you will also be in a position to adopt next generation technologies as and when they become available. So this is a very radical framework in terms of how you could prepare yourself to deliver far better services than what you're delivering today, leveraging technologies and different data types and information that will come our way in the next 12, 24, or 36 months. So if you all are interested to see how Hitachi Data Systems can help you make your existing e-governance platforms far more effective and efficient, and also explore new technologies around our social innovation platforms, send out a mail to Srini Rao, who's sitting out here. He's head of our government business. Srini, can you stand up? So send a mail to him or send a mail to us or tweet me out that Twitter address handle out there, and we will come back to you. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Mr. Venugopal. Come into commercial application. Our next speaker is from arguably one of the most celebrated and well-known projects in the country today, the Unique Identification Project. And Mr. Ashok Dalwai is the Deputy Director General of the UIDAI, and he will share some of his perspectives. And before you start, I would request Mr. Tripurari Sharan, who is the Principal Secretary IT of Bihar. I would request him to chair the rest of the session because I have a hard stop now.
I am from UID, Unique Identification Authority of India, more popularly known as Aadhaar. It's easy to pronounce it as Aadhaar. UIDAI is a big acronym, tongue twisting, takes a lot of time, and there's a time constraint. Aadhaar is not really in any direct business of developing any application for e-governance. All of you are here to present your own cases and help us understand what's happening across the governance. But what Aadhaar does is to provide a platform, to provide a context, an environment, which can be taken advantage of by people like you and many others in this country, to make life hassle-free and easy for the citizens. Today, in a liberalized world of India, the services are not necessarily confined to government. There are not many services which come to the private sector. So, be that as it may, whether the citizen accesses the service from the government or the private sector, I think what he's really looking for is ease of doing business. We're always talking of ease of doing business at the national level, but I think we need to speak more about ease of doing business at the individual level. And that can happen provided the service delivery is efficient and effective, and that will happen provided the interface of the service provider and the person seeking the service is as minimal as possible. Because technology is neutral. It doesn't distinguish or discriminate between faces. And India is largely known for discriminating between faces. So therefore, the critical need for deploying technology that can be neutral in terms of faces It's also scale neutral because we need to deliver across the country. It can't be hit by artificial boundaries of district or taluk or state, etc. So in this particular context, where we are talking about transparency in delivery of services, neutrality in terms of delivery of services, efficiency and effectiveness, Aadhaar can provide a platform. And how it can do that, I will share with you as we go through the slides. Now, as you know that we are basically in the business of providing an identity to a person. And identity is the fulcrum of every single transaction. And without an identity that is universally recognized, which is online transactable, then life becomes very difficult because each time you go for a service, the person asks you for verification of your identity. And today, in a paper-dominated, parochial kind of environment of identity establishment, the verification itself generates so much of hassle and leads to corruption. So Aadhaar is something which is recognized nationally, and it is just not an identity like many other kinds of identities we already have, whether it is a passport or a PAN card or a voter identity card or a ration card at the state level. This is a paperless. This is a paperless, it is not an identity paper, it is an identity number. And this particular number is unique unlike all those things because it is based on biometrics. And we do this on a comprehensive biometrics, not just on one fingerprint or two fingerprints. We rely on all the 10 fingerprints. We rely on both your irises and going forward also in your face photo. Because it is based on biometrics, and since biometrics are unique to every person, the number that emanates from this biometrics is also bound to be unique. And therefore, the prefix unique to the number. No other identity in the country or in the world can claim this prefix called unique. And therefore, it is very special about it. And the second one is, it also respects simultaneously privacy, because in a democratic country like India, we're supposed to respect the privacy, and therefore we collect minimal demographics, and that's the beauty of it. And if we are generating an online transactable unique number, we also provide a very important service that can be verified. It is just not important that you have an identity number. The service provider would like to know whether you are who you are claiming to be. And that verification is called authentication. And we provide that platform of online authenticability across this country. So these two basic services that we provides a context and a platform for every service developer, for software developer in the field of service delivery to go ahead. And then the ecosystem is also based on integrable APIs. So because we have APIs that will help integration of various applications, it is possible for everyone to develop his own application and start integrating with the CIDR or the central database that we maintain and enable the service deliveries. So I think this is very critical for us to understand why this particular thing called Aadhaar is universally enabler for development of services. And then another very beautiful service that we have developed, and that particular platform is eKYC. I think eKYC is something that is going to be transformational in the way the services are delivered. eKYC is something that is going to remove the human face-to-face interactability and therefore provide that neutrality that is required to make the environment hassle-free. The electronic KYC is the platform that we have developed and is already being tested in various service deliveries, including passports verification, and then you will have the sky open up for you. As on date, we already have 700 million plus Aadhaar generated and delivered to the people. We have left another 500 million, and that we have been targeted to complete this by June 2015 by the new government, and we are on the job. And this is, of course, certainly as on date, a large database that is only comparable to Google, Facebook, etc. And when we actually grow up to 121 plus crore and then continue the updations on a continual basis, then I think we'll be bigger than many of these people. And then this authentication and eKYC, two important platforms that we have developed, they are also capable of large scale. For example, today we are capable of responding to 100 million requests of authentication. That means innumerable service providers, both within the private sector and the government sector, if they want to verify a person's identity before he wants to deliver the service, he can send us a request and we can meet 100 million requests. And as regards the eKYC, we already built up the capacity to meet requests for 10 million per day. These are all 10 millions per day. So this is a very large number. And now trying to put this whole Aadhaar in the context of digital India, because today government is gung-ho about digital India, which has number of platforms, number of pillars as you know. But one very important thing is that e-governance, making services deliverable at the spot, at the home of the person is, I think, what this entire digital India is all about. The broadband connectivity or the mobile interpenetration, etc., are all infrastructure, but they're all being put in place so that the services can be delivered to the person. Let's just take the simple example of how Aadhaar in digital India can actually play a role. One is that it is online identity. The second one is that e-sign is possible. Since most of the service delivery will call for electronic signature, a biometric-based e-sign is what the Aadhaar actually can enable, and therefore that's a very important tool. And then the number of storages that happen today in the paper transactions, millions and millions of papers are transacted, stored every day. We are wasting space. We don't know how to store them. Whereas now, when you have a lock facility for storing your documents, what can really happen is, instead of putting the onus on this individual to prove his identity or to provide his document, with a click of a button, the government can actually access the document. Let's say a student's SSLC certificate is to be delivered at the Wipro office, for example. The Wipro office can always ask for that service from the government. It is not necessary for the person to deliver his SSLC certificate. His SSLC certificate is stored in the database of some particular department of a particular state. It will be possible now to get that certificate authenticated. So there is no need for the person to search some tehsildar or somebody to go and get it stamped that it is authentic. So if we can have this facility where millions and billions of documents of the citizens are stored in a safe system, then the responsibility of accessing that, retrieving that, now shifts from the person to the government. It is when the responsibility is on the person, that's where the corruption actually generates. That's where the corruption emanates. So if the responsibility is shifted from the person to the government, and the government is now capable of storing it in a retrievable form using the biometric Aadhaar system and authentication system, then that makes the job hassle-free. So that is one facility that we can provide. And then, of course, electronic payment. We have built up the platforms for online transaction of the money, the Aadhaar payment bridge and the Aadhaar enabled payment system, both at the source where it is possible for transfer of the money from the deployer to the destination bank spread across this country, and then enable that person to withdraw that money using the Aadhaar enabled payment system is something that is going to be transformational in the way the various entitlements of the people, whether as a scholarship or a pension due to an employee, are all transferable using the APV platform and withdrawable at the last mile using the AEPS system. So these are some of the important platforms that we have built, which now can help the community developers to come up with large number of applications depending upon the nature of the service and make the job very easy. So this is what, and since it is possible for us to the audit and track and trace the transactions, it is possible for us to maintain public accountability. Okay, let's take this example of how authentication happens. Now, authentication primarily in our system happens on biometrics. Since your identity has been established based on biometrics, The authentication also happens using your biometrics. But then there can be cases of biometric exceptions. There are people who may not have any fingerprints. So therefore we have a system where we say the failure to enroll must be 0. That means every resident in this country, even if he doesn't have a biometrics, should get an Aadhaar, and that is based on demographics. Since that percentage of people is likely to be very small, it is possible for us to establish uniqueness even in case of demographic-based enrollment. So the authentication that happens based on either your biometrics or biometrics plus demographics where the fingerprint quality is very poor, or in the absence of any biometrics just based on OTP is the service that we do provide. Now using this particular authenticability, it is now possible to roll out number of devices. So our system is based on a neutral platform in the sense you can use any operating system, you can use any programming language, you can use any network, and you can use any device format. It can be a fingerprint device, it can be a laptop, it can be anything, any kind of system that you come up with. This is capable of being unloaded on that. Now let's take the case of eKYC. Now for example, the Passport Seva Kendras in Tamil Nadu, in Coimbatore, Madurai, they have begun to use this facility called eKYC. Now one of the harassment that the citizen faces, for example, is that he has to go and produce an authenticated or stamped document to the passport officer to get his passport. But here, using the eKYC facility, the passport officer, with the consent of the passport seeker and his Aadhaar number, can download the KYC on the spot. And since it is on the spot delivered at the passport office, it is naturally authenticated. There's no need for it being authenticated or verified through somebody else. There's no need for third-party intervention. The passport officer and the passport seeker are the two actors who are actually interacting with each other, that too through the neutral platform, not face-to-face, because we want to remove that face-to-face interaction. So this eKYC is something which is an authenticated delivery of the information at the spot from the CIDR located at Bangalore, is what makes the things hassle-free. So this can be utilized either for opening a bank account under the Prime Minister's Jan Dhan Yojana. Now the bankers have begun to use this facility, or anybody else. You think of any service where you require information of a person which is supposed to be authenticated, eKYC is there to help you out. So this is truly transformational in the way the services can be delivered. And I was talking to you about Aadhaar being used as a financial address. Today, where is the harassment? Now, if you would like to open a bank account, you need to provide an authenticable document. But eKYC is something that helps you to open a bank account instantaneously. Then it helps the service provider, let's say the Director of Social Welfare, who transfers the old age pensions to lakhs of his clients in the state. Then it is possible for him to use the Aadhaar payment bridge, which is a platform that helps in creating a file which simply says, this is the entitlement of a particular person, this is the claim, this is his bank account in Canara Bank, for example. And all these things happens on the address called Aadhaar. There's no need for any other address. So using Aadhaar as the primary address, using Aadhaar payment bridge, the Director of Social Welfare sitting in Thiruvananthapuram can transfer all the monthly entitlements into millions of destination bank accounts which are interoperable. It is not necessary that it has to be one particular bank. He may have his account in SBI, but I, as a recipient, I may have my account in Canara Bank. So it is possible for me to get that through the APB. And once it reaches me in my particular bank, whether it's Canara Bank or Syndicate Bank or State Bank of Travancore, then it is possible for all those clients to withdraw their money using the AEPS. So this is possible because Aadhaar is a financial address. Okay, so this is, and as I told you at the last mile, there's no need for one particular kind of a device. Today, for example, some of the business correspondents are locked into the particular bank with a particular device. The beauty of UIDAI is that it has been built on vendor neutrality. It has been built on multi-platform. It has been built on open source. And therefore, it is possible for us to actually involve everybody and scale up the way we are doing. So as you see here, using KYC, you open a bank account. Using Aadhaar payment bridge, you transfer the money. Using your AEPS, you withdraw the money, and use multiple devices which are only standardized as per this benchmark laid down by us. And there is a third party called STQC, which issues the certificates to these devices. So as you see here is a multiple partnership that is happening. It is not simply tied down to UIDAI. Okay? So now as you see that number of applications are being developed. What we have really done is that now we are promoting a developer community. Already as many as 500 people are on board. And we also have a discussion forum through our website. So therefore, large number of actually people are getting tied to UIDAI and seeing how they can use this Aadhaar identification platform, Aadhaar authentication platform, Aadhaar eKYC platform, and Aadhaar payment bridge platform to actually reach out different services. Now, I think you must be seeing day in and day out on the paper that after the new government came, they have introduced the Aadhaar-based biometric attendance system, which is compulsory for all the central government employees. And actually, that is brought in a lot of discipline. Then over a period of time, different state governments are going to introduce, and different central government offices located in far-flung areas of this country are going to have this Aadhaar-based attendance system, which is now compulsory for government employees, can be introduced at schools, can be introduced in Anganwadi centers, for any number of people, for any number of service points. And then, of course, I told you eKYC is being used in 3 Seva Kendras of Tamil Nadu. We'll be very happy to also do it for you. And then it is being done in Bangalore at Lal Bagh Center, and it is proved a big hit. And now we are also going to use on a pilot basis at Bangalore International Airport, where eKYC-based verification for you to enter into the airport will soon come into practice. And over a period of time, I'm sure all the 99 airports of this country will start using it. And in states like Andhra Pradesh, the Aadhaar has been very effectively used for delivery of the public distribution entitlements. Okay, they are not only managing the delivery of the entitlements, they're also now looking at the supply chain management and the last mile transactions. So all these pilots have happened, are happening, and we are looking at possibilities where the digital life certificate for pensioners. Only last week this was launched by the Prime Minister, where each time the old pensioner had to come every November to some central place to show that he's live for the next 1 year. But now it will be possible for him to issue this digital life certificate from the common service center or citizen service centers located in his own village. He doesn't have to actually travel to the central place. So therefore, many of these applications are now being thought of by the people, and I'm sure that Aadhaar will provide a platform and actually trigger large number of applications which will make life very easy for people accessing government service as well as private sector services. Thank you very much.
Of the session, I have to invite myself to speak. Speaking without a slide presentation. But I just want to very briefly talk about the initiatives that Bihar government, our Department of Information Technology, has taken in the area of e-governance, and would also like to invite your attention to the fact that even though the state as such has been somewhat of a latecomer into inviting entrepreneurs in the field of information technology to come and work in Bihar, despite all the handicaps that were there inherent in our system, we have worked tirelessly over the last few years to make Bihar into an attractive investment destination for information technology projects. And I will also briefly talk about what we are doing in that direction. But as far as e-governance initiatives are concerned, let me very briefly tell you that our focus has been to bring or to use information technology for use by common citizens to access services and to make information available to them as easily as possible and as transparently as possible. And as all of you know, most of you would be knowing that many of our mission mode projects which have been sponsored by the Government of India are focused in this particular direction. But our special emphasis in the state has been on developing applications and using IT to be able to specifically empower the citizens in terms of not just being able to, we already have enabled something called the RSTP, Right to Service platform in the entire state, which is a state-funded project. And this particular project enables you to seek from the government a service or a reply or information within a time-bound framework. And we are trying to integrate this with our e-district project, which is something which many of you may be aware of and which has been running in other states also. Alongside a rollout of e-district, which has already seen a pilot run in 4 of our districts, we are trying to roll it out over the entire state and integrate it with the Right to Service platform. One of the major challenges in e-governance in the state has been that over the years, several projects have been taken up and many of them have been working on standalone platforms. We have several MIS projects like Comprehensive Treasury Management Information System. Similarly, the projects in criminal tracking and criminal management information system. And there are several standalone platforms which have been operating. And the challenge today is to really integrate them onto one comprehensive platform. And for this, we are trying to move into the direction where we can use our very ambitious state data center to be able to integrate all these platforms. And in as much as we are trying to do this, the focus, the central focus for this right now is this project called the State Services Delivery Gateway. Just last week, I had a chance to review the progress of this particular project, and we found that while its speed hasn't really picked up as well as it should have, this particular project of State Services Delivery Gateway enables, once it is fully functional and fully operational, it will enable a citizen to access through a portal information from across 52 departments of the state. And this portal would be a very comprehensive portal where you can not only access information but also access services from the state, because eventually what we are planning is integrating all those standalone platforms like eShakti, eDistrict, and other MIS platforms, and enable the citizen to be able to access all those services through this particular project. Eventually, we are also by upscaling the state data center, we are also looking at cutting our teeth into big data management. And for that, we are looking at upgrading our state data center, not to be able to comprehensively fulfill the requirements of going into big data analytics, but at a very preliminary level, at a very preparatory level, that is what we are looking at. And this, of course, is in very embryonic stages right now. But we do hope that eventually all the data, the huge amount of data that will be generated through each of these platforms, that can be meaningfully utilized for other more ambitious e-governance projects. So let me not take much of your time because we are already running short of it. And if I go into the details of each of these projects and each of the facilities that we're trying to create for promoting Bihar as an attractive investment destination, we would be running hopelessly out of time, and I'm acutely aware of my responsibilities as a chairperson for this session, which Mr. Chandrasekhar has handed over to me. I would finish off here, and I hope that we can have a more meaningful interaction session thereafter, but a brief one. I would be grateful if people can keep their questions brief. Thank you.
We can take one question if there is any. Okay.
For this e-passport, how have you managed to circumvent the delays of the police verification?
Well, we have resorted to incentives. The police get a certain amount of money if they submit the report within 21 days. That's one part. The other part is that the ministry has issued instructions.
For that period, you can use the passport without police verification.
No. The passport, if there is an application on which a passport can be issued only after a verification.
But that itself will take 6 months.
I'm sorry, which place are you talking about? 6 months.
Okay. This is one thing.
No, I'm RPO Cochin. So let me tell you what happens in the districts under my jurisdiction. The percentage of the reports that we receive is as high as 88 to 90%. That is 90% of the police verification reports are submitted within 21 days. 21 days.
That's a record.
I'm talking about this, and I don't know if my colleague from TCS is here, if he can give us the all Kerala figures, but I'm talking about Cochin. 88 to 90%. And this is only where verification is required. There are a lot of categories where police verification is not required. It has been insisted upon by the ministry that if somebody submits an application and a police verification is initiated, the officer who initiates the verification should record in the system why it has been done so. So this is also another way of eliminating unnecessary police verification and delaying issuance of passports.
That's right. The other point is that when you want additional pages, every time you issue a new passport, so the frequent flyers continuously have new passport numbers very frequent. Why not only give the pages and instead of issuing a new passport every time?
It's something I mentioned in my presentation, that from 15th of, sorry, I keep telling 15th, from November 2015, no international airport in the world will accept a handwritten passport or a passport in which any sort of endorsement is written, made by hand. It has to be machine written, machine readable. So if you, I know we had that old visa pages, additional booklets, that's gone. Every time you need a change in your any entry in the passport or a revalidation, it will mandate an issuance of a fresh booklet with a fresh validity.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. And thanks to all the panelists for a good discussion on e-governance best practices and next practices in India. So I now request Mr. Tripurari Sharan, Principal Secretary IT Bihar, to please present mementos to our panelists, please. Passport Office, Mr. R.O. Sunil Babu. Our guest from Bangalore, who is implementing technology in UIDI, Mr. Ashok Dalwai, Deputy Director General, UIDI Technology Center, Bangalore. Then Mr. Manish Kumar from Wipro, Head Central Government and Defense Business of Wipro, Infotech. Mr. Vivekanand Venugopal, Vice President and General Manager, Hitachi Data Systems Limited. Thank you very much to the panelists, and I request for a group photo, please, with their mementos. And there on the tables, we have feedback forms by Hitachi Data Systems. I request all the people in audience to please fill that form and submit at the reception, or leave it on the table. Our people will collect. A round of applause for our eminent guests, please, and thank you very much to all of you.